All right. Go ahead, Pawnee. Who we got today?
We have the man, the myth, and the legend, John Dawson in the house.
That's right. Welcome, John.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me, man. I'm stoked. It's going to be a good time.
Absolutely.
And in the off chance that nobody knows you, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm John Dawson, and I'm a general contractor and new clothing brand owner. I work hard, and there's things that I dislike and like, and life keeps going. And I just talk about things that people don't like to talk about because I feel like things need to be talked about. That's about it. That's pretty much it. I mean, there's no place I won't go. So let's do it.
Right. Well, we got a lot in common then.
Yeah. All three of us. That's right. All right. So right before we came on, I found it interesting that you were saying that you were kind of coming out of the conservative realm as far as like on TikTok goes, and that you've had some people reaching out to you. Just out of curiosity, what led you down that path?
Well, it came with the divisiveness, and not from the conservative side, but just the polarizing of the media, right? The media is the one that drives everybody. So I think I just wanted to be approachable by anyone who had a change of heart. We've made it so difficult for people to turn around and say, oops, I was wrong. So people tend to not. So I want to be that guy where it's like, look, man, I'll tell you first, I was wrong. I've been wrong many times, and I've changed my mind many times. And that's why I feel like I've become as educated as I've become, is because an educated man can admit when he's wrong and change his trajectory. So I wanted to kind of come away from the titles, because titles, they're like book covers. If you look at a book cover 1,000 times and you hated it the first time, you're going to look at it the 1,000th time and hate it then. So I wanted to take a title off and kind of become approachable by anybody, being like, hey, man, so like, I was thinking that I was liberal my entire life, but what about this? And they can ask me, and I'm not going to be like, oh, you idiot, you voted for X, Y, and Z. And it's really opened up my platform and my DMs to people who are just like legit curious, but are scared of that attack.
Yeah.
So I kind of stepped away from the conservative title, from the Republican title, from the Trump title, even though my views and my approach has not changed one bit. Like I still am firm in exactly where I stand. I've stopped labeling myself that so I can start reaching a questioning audience unbiasedly in a way.
I like it.
I do like it. What advice can you give to anybody watching now or down the road? Because I think that would be a very important part of America, is just getting back to the point where we can have conversations in general.
Yeah.
So what advice would you have for anybody watching, or even us, that can make us more approachable?
Man, I think it's case sensitive. You know, you never know what somebody's thinking, what their process is, how they arrived at where they are now. I think it's realizing that in the true sense of America, most people want the best for it. Now I know, and I've said this many times, and people come at me mainly on the conservative side being like, you're crazy. They want communism. They want socialism. They want to destroy a country. And yes, there's those people out there. But you got to think the majority of people out there are making uninformed decisions based on lies they're being told, telling them that what they're doing is for the best. So you got to realize that just because they're making the most idiotic, unbelievable choice, you can't assume that they want what you see, which is negative for our country. They might see the lie and believe it full-heartedly, which is good. The lie is telling them that what they're doing is good for the country. So I think it's that. I think it's seeing that the people who you despise, who are voting hardcore leftist, may actually think that that's what's best for everyone, and they're not actually hateful. They just are really passionate about something that they're being lied to about, basically.
And I think that's where the passion and hatred comes into play. Is, you know, obviously us conservatives, we're usually and I'm going to be stereotypical pro America as far as having the flags, very passionate about our country, being back to blue, back to military, kind of thing. So that, we get passionate, but I do agree that it could lead us to be offset from certain people.
Yeah, I mean, it's like going to your parents when your parents told you not to do something and then you did it and you screwed up and got hurt or hurt something or broke something. You don't want to go tell them hey, so I just crashed the car you told me to drive slower in. You feel like you're going to get in trouble or they're going to jump down your throat. So you're like, I'm going to pretend like it didn't happen and see if I can work my way past this, and they'll think they dented the car.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people feel like they're like, I don't want you to jump down my throat, so I'm just going to lay low here for a second until you forget. And then down the road, I'll maybe admit it. But we're in a time where things are moving too quick for us to wait for people to do it on their own. We got to become approachable.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I do agree with that.
I got a question. So, John, how long have you been on TikTok, man?
Wow. Actually, I've never been asked that. That's a good one, man. That's the first one that stumped me. I think it was the beginning of last year, 2020. TikTok reached out to me on Instagram and asked me to bring my content to TikTok, and I was doing DIY videos.
Yep.
Up until when did George Floyd happen?
Oh shit!
That was last year, right?
Yeah. So
wasn't it March
last year, wasn't it?
March, I think.
I think it was right after COVID hit, basically. So it had to be February, March, somewhere in there. So that I had been on TikTok. So yeah, it probably would have been January, because I was on for about a month. I'd gotten a bunch, maybe 40,000 followers through DIY construction videos.
Yeah.
And then basically George Floyd hit and I went on a rant, and then that's pretty much what dropped me into political TikTok, and I was never able to fight back out of it.
Right.
Now, did they push you to political?
No, they brought me on to do they wanted to bring an older demographic to TikTok, right? They wanted the DIYers, the how-toers, those type of people. So because I was already doing that on Instagram. So come over here, create that same content in 60-second form, bring your older demographic. My demographic's 25 to 68. So they're yeah, that's perfect. Bring those people over here to TikTok, show that it's not just a dancing platform. And then when I changed my trajectory, I reached out to them and said, hey, this is getting me a lot of traction, and I actually feel like I have a platform here that could be, important. Is it possible that I can continue in this way? And still, they were paying me a little bit, and it still be in your Learn on TikTok platform or fund. So they're yeah, that's fine. What you're saying is still educational. We're just going to change you in our algorithm. You can continue going down the political path. That's why I feel like I have avoided a lot of bannings up until recently when they finally kicked me out. Is because I was actually working with them. They were wanting me to bring an older demographic, which I 100% did. I feel like I was one of the first conservative people that was outspoken, especially first Black conservative. I think maybe Topher and conservative Oreo might have been there before me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how it all started. I never wanted to be on TikTok. I never even I hated it when they had me do it, but they were going to pay me. So I was I'll just make a crappy video if you pay me, regardless of how many views it gets.
Right.
And yeah, I never really wanted to be on TikTok, to be honest.
Me neither, man.
And now I'm I know why.
Into it.
What got you into it, White Pony?
I said me neither, but my 10-year-old son talked me into it, and then all of a sudden I got dragged into politics as well. And then
next thing you know, you're showing him videos.
Yeah.
Dad, I'm off TikTok. I'm on Thriller now.
And then I kicked him off of TikTok after I found out, all the damn pedophiles and sick people that's on there. So I kicked him off, and here we are.
This man just hijacked his kid's platform.
Yep.
So you got started at 80,000.
Whoa, no. I started from scratch, brother. I started from scratch, man. That's one thing I've done good in my life is I got my TikTok career off by myself, and I've gotten to where I'm at. I don't have 600,000 followers. I think I should, but I don't.
You're not gonna get there. I got it early, and right now, it's like any platform in general, but especially these platforms, and especially conservative. If you didn't get it before they were aware of it, you might get it in 10 years. But as of right now, it's gonna be hard.
I agree.
I grew to 600,000 fairly quickly. 550 was my quick growth. I'm talking about the first half of the year. Yeah. And then the second half of the year, it's literally been like it has right now. Like and that's with me already having 500,000. Usually you start growing quicker once you get bigger. Yeah. But no, I'm definitely, it's not, I mean, I've been sitting at 690 for a couple months now. And it's just, I mean, it goes up and it goes down. It goes up, it goes down. I'm like, yeah, this ain't going nowhere. This is it.
I remember when you were at 666, you're like, please get me off of here.
Oh my gosh. I was like, this is not good. And then I went to 666.6 and I was like, I'm done.
It wasn't good.
All right, we do have this is from Twitch here. What are all our channels? So go ahead, John.
You can find me at the John, and that's Jon Dawson on TikTok. Instagram is John_Dawson. Wherever you go, I got a link tree in there, and it'll take you to everything else.
Pony. Your TikTok channel?
Just White Pony 1.
Okay.
And then my Instagram is White Pony 826, and that's all I got.
And I'm Conservative Texan _ on TikTok. So here we go. I served 7 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. I love my country, and my heart breaks watching the division. But I fought for everyone, left and right side. We need to unite.
100%.
I agree. Thank you, Andy, for your service.
Yeah, thank you, man. That's hard to say too. Like you want to unite. I have the utmost respect for veterans because, man, could you imagine, especially police officers as well, doing what you do, putting your life on the line to see people basically in one way or another spit in your face saying like you fought for either a racist country or you fought for an oppressive, divisive country. And you're sitting there like, wait a minute, I slept on the ground. I was in front of gunfire. For you to sit in your penthouse and claim that this country is not what you want it to be, like, wait a minute, like that drives me nuts, man. That just gets me.
There was one video in all of TikTok that has legitimately made me cry, and it was an old, I think he was a World War II vet because I think he had World War II or Vietnam on his hat, and he was crying, talking about, I can't believe that I got a Purple Heart after seeing what this country's going through. And it was like, oh.
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah, that one. It got me.
Just like you want to give him the respect from the entire country yourself. You're like, I will go to that man and give him every ounce of respect that I have, just so he knows. Like, and I do that even now. Like being black, every time I see a police officer, I'm like, listen, I appreciate you, I respect you, and I have your back 100% because I know regardless of what trash I talk on you, if I call, you're showing up. So like, you got to think about the service and then man.
Yeah.
Hey, John, do you ever or have you ever been called racist by fellow blacks?
Oh, of course, every day. I'm a white supremacist. You didn't know? Do you not see my hood, man? Come on. Come on, man. I'm a closet, man. I'm like the Dave Chappelle shit. White power.
Oh man.
No, I get called that all the time. And the crazy thing is, and it bugs me because when you really break it down to the idea of racism, right? Or turning your back on your community, which is what I get. It's like you're trying to tap dance for the white man, you're racist, you're turning your back on your community. And that's with me and most people. If anybody knows me on TikTok, I try to be as respectful as possible. I don't call anybody names, I don't tear anybody down. I try to just simply go off of advocating for understanding someone's opinion. When they come at me and say you turned your back on your community after they call me coon, clown, porch monkey, house, you know what, all these different things, I'm like, I am reaching out to people who despise me and wish death on me, saying, hey, can we have a conversation? I want to know how you think. I want you to listen to how I think. They say I've turned my back on them when I'm the one reaching out and getting my hand slapped down. So it's one of these things where it's like, we want help. We want someone to talk to us. We want to be heard. And then you're like, well, let me listen. And then they condemn you and call you a sellout and all these names and also tell you turned your back on them. It's just this circle of like, how am I reaching out to you? And you telling me I'm helping you. Like the Candace Owens thing. I'm not a big fan of Candace Owens, but everyone's like, oh, she's whitewashed. She's turning her back on the community. And I'm like, do you guys realize the hate that she is getting is because she's reaching out to the black community, right? If she didn't want any more hate, she could just stop reaching out, right? She could just totally stop, and then she would stop getting hate. But she's reaching out to you while you're hating on her because she's trying to help you.
I'm curious why you don't like her.
Why I don't like her? I feel like she turns people off to her ideas when her ideas are amazing, by being too polarized in the sense that the Black community, I hate using that term, it's the dumbest thing ever. The Black collective that thinks in the ways of liberal whatever doesn't want to be reprimanded, right? They want to be coddled. They want to be told that it's okay, it's not your fault. They want to feel like nothing is their responsibility. And I hate that. But with that being said, you cannot come at them in it's all your fault, you're an idiot, you're responsible for everything, wake up, you have every ability to change what situation you're in. Even though we might think that's true, that's not going to help. So I feel like she has a huge platform, a huge voice, but she's not willing to sit down. She sits down and you can see her formulating her thoughts of what she wants to say before the person that's talking to her is done talking. And right then and there, you realize she's not sitting there to listen through their whole conversation. She's sitting there to respond. And that's what I say all the time. Listen to understand. Don't always just listen to respond. And I feel like she shuts a lot of people down before they even know her points.
I guess that's why
she's great. She's great though. I love her. I love what she stands for. I just feel like she could put it out there a little bit different. And that's personal opinion, 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, do you think some of that, just out of curiosity, that's what got her polarized?
Yeah. And to be honest, someone's got to say it like that, right? So I can't knock her for it. Someone's got to say it. That's a different point of view where I come from. Someone's got to say it. Someone's got to rip off the Band-Aid. All of us are here trying to peel it off, not rip any leg hairs off and all that BS. But at some point, someone's just going to be like, okay, cry for 5 minutes. Now, shut up.
I rip Band-Aids off like I don't know how many times a day.
When I had to do the hand sanitizer every day, the amount of Band-Aids I had to put on my fingers because they were cut. Oh my goodness.
I don't know about you guys. Have you read up on HR 127 yet? I have not, so I don't have anything to say on it. Nope. All right, Ronnie, sorry, we haven't read up on it yet, so I apologize for that.
Let me write that down. What is it?
HR 127.
Gotcha.
I've heard people talking about it, but I don't know.
All right, we'll look into it.
Yeah. So now you say you get a lot of hate from the Black community. We'll just use the terms that's being used.
Yeah.
I guess the thing is, because obviously as two white men, we get it too, mostly just because we support Trump. But then what I've always found ironic about the whole thing is, on one hand, they'll say that minorities can't be racist. And then on the other hand, turn around and call someone like yourself racist.
Dude, I swear. It's like arguing with a baby trying to explain like why they can't stand on the coffee table, right? You're just like, you can't stand because you're fall. I'm like, what? I'm not gonna fall. You're like, no, you can't stand on it because you're gonna fall because I know you're careless. You just can't get it through. No matter how baseline simple it is, you can't get it through. I've shown the definition of racism to people. I'm like, it's when you have a difference of opinion or think that a certain race is held to a different standard than another. And I'm like, what is racism but literally calling a white person lesser than you because they stole from you or they're inherently racist? Like, that's you being racist back. The same thing when they turn to me and they're like, oh, you turned your back into the Black community, and they call me porch monkey. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're calling another Black man the racial slurs which you're trying to climb out from under, and you're saying that you're not able to be racist. So then if you say it to me, it's like the N-word, right? I can call a Black person the N-word, but you call a Black person the N-word and it's racist.
Oh, yeah.
It's understandable.
White person, that N-word, and it's still racist.
Yeah, you say the word in a song, and all of a sudden people are up in arms, and you're just like, well, then don't put it in the damn song. But it's one of those things where it's purely like it's tunnel vision. It's and I made a video about it today. If you run around with your finger spinning in circles, claiming everything that does not benefit you is racist, then at that point in time, it's no longer racism. It's just anybody who disagrees with you. Yeah. So it's the same situation where you look at someone who says, even like, just for an example of today, like what is it, Shaniqua? Like I got so much heat for like someone made a joke about Shaniqua, and they were like, you can't say that because that's racist towards the name Shaniqua and all the people who are named Shaniqua. And I'm like, but what about Karen, which trended all year? What about Becky? Yeah. What about Brittany? What about Bradley? What about all these names, that we use all the time because it's just a name. Yeah, but whenever it crosses the racial barrier, It's like, no. We can make fun of white people because they're strong enough. But black people, well, they ride the short bus, so you can't make fun of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. It offends me that I feel like I'm lesser than because I need to be protected by this bubble of not being racist, not, having racism cast towards me. Everyone can be racist. If you disrespect another person based off their skin color, that is racism. You're white. You have no right to talk to me. Racism right there. You just basically judge them because of the color of their skin, saying that they have no right to speak or whatever it is. Racism. I don't care how you feel about it. It's the definition.
And this is the reason why I love you, because you're real.
You got it. Nowadays, you got it because
so much respect for you, dude.
It is hard to be real. I mean, because like conservative Brit here, she says, she was called racist for using the word colored people instead of people of color.
Someone did that.
I got called racist the other day for saying people of color. So I'm like, what do you want me to call you?
Whatever you didn't call me.
So I made a video just talking about we the people, or I said you people need to wake up. Talking about all Americans need to wake up.
What you mean, you people?
You people? What you?
That's it. I got so much.
Speak on it.
Saying, "Oh, you people is racist." I'm like, I'm talking about Americans, like not talking about a specific class of people or a group of people. I'm strictly talking about you people need to wake up. Everybody.
How frustrated are you for having to explain that?
Oh, very. And so I did make a response video. And I said I'm not going to apologize, and I'm not because that one comment said you need to choose your words differently. I'm like, no, I'm not going to because I know what I meant by it.
Yeah. And you knew what I meant by it too, but you're just seeing an opportunity to be a victim.
Exactly.
Yep.
I refuse to be one.
It's insane to me the level of explaining you need to do to not, like, if you say people of color, it's gonna be like, oh, you mean Black Americans. If you say Black Americans, you mean African Americans. You say African Americans, you mean Black American. Like at some point you got to realize, look, man, people misspeaking isn't intentional racism. It's not even subtle subconscious racism. It's people not knowing where we're at because it changes every other week.
Yeah.
Like I get it. If someone drops the N-word at you, like, okay, you can assume, right?
Oh, yeah.
But if someone does this stuff, this subtle stuff of like the names, the theys, the thems, the Black community, or people of color, like at some point, like when are we just going to try to get to the real issue rather than discount every argument by choosing to go with the great argument you had there, but you said they people. Let's jump into that real quick. And I'm like, okay, that solves nothing. What's the point of that?
So here's a question for you, John. Is your political views that cause them to call you racist?
Is your yeah, I mean, base level, yeah, it would be political views. It would be the fact that I don't do what the majority of Black people do, which is racist. Isn't that silly? Isn't that silly? It's like we cannot be held to a certain standard because of our skin color. We should be free and be able to do what we want. We want equality. And then a man that does what he wants because I have the choice, the personal choice of whatever I feel. I could be left, right, up, down, sideways. It doesn't matter. I have the choice. And then I make a different choice and they're like, you're white. And I'm like, no, I'm Black. I just chose different.
You
like,
cracker.
Exactly. You're like,
between the racist argument and the abortion argument is you can't speak out on it if you're not, a woman for abortion or Black if you're not on racism.
Mm-hmm.
But if a male or a white person comes in on that side and is pro-abortion or pro, Black lives, which I don't know anybody that's not, but and for today's purposes, they're allowed to now all of a sudden speak on it.
Yeah. Wait, who's allowed to wait? Say that one more time. You lost me.
So, like on the we'll just use abortion. So when you talk pro-life or pro-choice, what's a woman will always tell you that's pro-choice, not your uterus, not your choice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But if I'm a male speaking for pro-abortion, now all of a sudden I can speak up on that.
Your opinion matters.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's all about agreement. People throw race in there, people throw gender in there, people throw progressive, whatever. It's not about that. It's about, do you agree with me? Okay, your opinion matters. If you don't agree with me, shut up, you're a racist or you're sexist or you're a homophobe or something.
Yeah.
It's all about agreement.
Yeah. And here's another one for you, John. John, do you think it's ingrained in Black culture to see racism from other races that's not there? I'm married to a black man and he feels that way.
I think it's a wait, do you think ingrained in black culture to see? Yeah, 100%. I remember watching what's her name? Sydney, I think, from the Today Show, from the morning show on NBC. When the George Floyd thing happened, she's like, yeah, I had to sit my kids down, who were like 4 and 6 or something, and tell them that he was killed because of the color of his skin. And I sat there being like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You just told your kids who don't see color yet, and they shouldn't, and if they do, it's by your choice, who don't see color yet, who play with the white kids, play with the Hispanics, the Asians, the Samoans, the Indians, whatever.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't care. They're going to go play soccer with whoever's willing to play with them, and they love them, right?
Yes, they do.
You just told them your skin color can get you killed. Live life as if that is something that's going to predict your future. And then they don't expect them to go out there and have a preset discrimination towards police officers with a subtle hint of disrespect because they don't want to respect somebody that wants to kill them. And you just set up your kid to not be safe around a police officer because of the lack of respect. You just set your kid up to be in a room full of white people and feel as though they're different because of their skin color. You literally are ingraining your kids to think. And I say this because I've had a lot of older black people look at me and the way I talk, and they're like, you need to respect your history, son. You don't understand what the black community has done to get to this point. I'm like, yes, I do. How dare you tell a younger man to respect his oppression when he has fought up out of it? At some point, you got to stop putting it and holding it up as a trophy. And every time a new generation comes around, hand that trophy down of, hey, guys, people are racist against us. Don't forget it. When they're walking around being like, I don't see it, right? At some point, we got to stop handing this trophy down of you're different and just start treating our children. And that's why I made that t-shirt for my clothing company. You're smart. You're blessed. You can do anything. There's nothing about race in there. There's nothing about gender. There's nothing about anything. It's a shirt that you can wear that says you are blessed, you are smart, you can do anything. But instead, we want to see you're black, you're different, you might be able to achieve, but it's going to be harder for you. Like, what in the world? Why are we teaching our kids? Like, what? That's the issue in the black community is you're different. We're going to raise you different. We need you to see the world different because it's for your safety. I'm like, no. It's for your oppression.
My 10-year-old son, one of his best friends is black, and the church that they attend last year, it was them too. They did a Martin Luther King play, and they're top 2 speakers. And I don't cry really. I really don't. I mean, I got emotional in South Carolina, but watching that play next to his best friend and the way they were speaking up on, about Martin Luther King, man, just brought tears to my eye. And they're about to do it again in February, and I'm just excited about it. So, color, my kids will never be taught that way. I grew up in the hood, and I have more black and Hispanic friends than I do my own color.
Right? It's not about it. It's about connection, right? I mean, and I see it in kids all the time. I grew up with my best friend was white, and it's funny when you think back to it because now I see color. Every grown person sees color, right? You can't not see color. Yeah. But I remember back in the day, like, because I was adopted early on. I was adopted by white parents. I never understood why people were looking at me, right? Everywhere we went, people were looking at me. And I'm like, why are people looking at me? My parents never once said, well, it's because you're a different color than us. I didn't know my parents when I first was adopted. I didn't know my parents were a different color than me. I had no idea, no clue, had no idea that I was a different color. But every time I hung out with other people of color, they would always tell me, dude, you're whitewashed. Like, you're white. Like, we don't say that. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, why can't I say, why can't I enunciate? Right? Why can't I be excited about playing the trumpet or something? Right. And they're like, well, that's white. And I'm like, well, that's weird. And then I did get into a phase there towards, the middle of high school where I was trying very hard to be black because I wasn't accepted by being black, but seeming white. So it's one of these things where the white culture that I was involved with didn't make me feel different, besides like, going to the grocery store with white parents and being black. People obviously are going to look, but like I never took it as a negative thing until I started hanging out with more black people, and they told me that I need to stop acting white. Right? White people never told me to stop acting black. They were just like, bro, do you? And I have plenty of black tendencies, right? It was just like it was an embrace of like, let's go do something, let's achieve something. You know, I started businesses with my best white friend, and it was never like, oh, I got to start a business with a black guy. It was never like a rate. We were starting a business together. We were both intelligent. We were both excited. And then black people were like, why are you starting a business, bro? Like, that's a white thing to do. And I'm like, what? Like, you're holding yourself to such a low standard by claiming that it's not your race that does these certain things that make people successful. And then you're mad because you're like, well, there's not many black C. I'm like, well, like, okay, you want to explain why that doesn't happen? Because I'll explain it for you.
Man, if you want it, you just got to make it happen, brother. Make it happen. Period.
Do you do a lot of community outreach? I'm sure you do. I mean, I would imagine you do.
I'm trying to do more. I haven't in the last few years because I started my construction business and was completely submerged in starting a new business, you know, owning and operating. But I tend to do it. So in college, I did a lot of outreach with the local high schools and elementary schools. Basically just talking to kids, asking what their dreams are, right? And trying to push them in a direction of success. But as of right now, I'm slowly starting to get back into it with my clothing brand and start pushing it to the Boys and Girls Club, underprivileged kids, trying to show them a positive message here in Central Texas. Because there's a lot of poverty here. People think of Waco as like this gorgeous, and it's not. It's the hood. Like Waco's the hood, except for Magnolia. So there's a lot of kids here that are being told that that's all they'll ever see. So I'm starting to try to reach out to them more, sit down with them, have conversations. Be a mentor as much as I can, because I'm telling you, man, that's where it starts, right there.
How well received is it?
It depends. Some are ready, right? Some are. It's really the ones that are in the worst situation, right? The ones that are like, look, I'll go with anything, but what I'm dealing with right now. Those people are usually the most accepting because they're like, you smile a lot, you have fun, you crack jokes. I want to smile a lot, have fun, and crack jokes because I'm tired of crying.
Yeah.
So they'll accept it a lot more. The ones that are just kind of thugging it, if you will, like that aren't bad off, but aren't thriving, that are kind of in that level of like, you know, I'm living fine, I'm not hungry, my parents aren't there, but they're not like abusive. They're just kind of like, yeah, whatever, man. Like, you have fun being whitewashed. But a story I told on my Instagram or TikTok as well the other day is when I remodeled a house in a really bad neighborhood. They made fun of me. They robbed me 4 different times. And then I hired a couple of them, and they made fun of me the whole time I hired them, you know, just cracking jokes. They weren't disrespectful, but they were just cracking jokes. And by the end of it, when I sat them down, I'm like, okay, what you guys just helped me with, let me tell you what I'm making off this. You know, this is how much I put into the house. This is how much I bought the house for. This is how much I'm going to sell the house for. This is how much after taxes I'm walking away with in my pocket. And you know how much I had to use out of my own bank account? Nothing. And then that's when they were like, whoa, like I can pull myself up out of this situation. I can take my mom's house and remodel it, and we can move to a better location and then do the same thing to that one. And their mindset was like, dude, like this has nothing to do with race. This is purely just looking at things in a different light and choosing, you know, legal real estate over me just trying to steal and sell things to pawn shops all day. So I think it's getting to the point of showing how it benefits them to think different and not showing them how it changes them from being hood or black to being white. You know what I mean?
I think that life experience thing is key. I mean, I did a duet on a guy on TikTok, and he was telling his story on how he went from a Bernie Sanders supporter to a Trump voter.
Wow.
He showed the proof that he was a donor to Bernie Sanders and all this stuff, and been at rallies, helped on the campaign and all this stuff. And he said it all changed when he bought a house and had to pay taxes.
Oh my gosh. When the money starts coming out of your hand, you're like, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
A lady on one of my TikToks saying she doesn't care about the economy. It's like, yeah, until you get a job and you got to survive, then you don't care about the economy. I get it. I mean,
I got the phone call tonight, probably an hour before our podcast, that, you know, the company I've been working on. I know, John, you probably don't know, but my cousin and I opened up a trucking company, and it's been hell because of COVID. Yeah. As an hour and a half ago, we are finally active and ready to rock and roll.
Hell yeah.
Hey.
Hell yeah.
But I break the news to everybody.
That's awesome, man. Man, that's you decided to really take the toughest time to do that, huh?
Well, I've been in the industry in trucking and building cranes for the past 15 years. And I was a manager at the last company. They wouldn't let me take it to where I wanted to. So everybody was telling me, dude, just do your own thing. It was a big risk because with Biden coming in office, like I've told in the previous podcast, I went to the police academy with a police officer for a very short time during Obama and Biden, and I was laid off within a couple weeks of getting hired because the economy crashed. Jeez. So, but with Biden being in office and my company being active, I don't give a damn what I have to do. They've taken it away from me, my career away from me once. It's not happening again.
That's it right there. I tell people that regardless of where they are in life, if you're not happy with what you're doing, figure out a way. Like that's what I did. I was working for someone. I'm like, I'm not going to work harder and harder to benefit your bottom dollar. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it for myself. That way, if I win, I win. And if I lose, I got nowhere to point the fingers to set that myself. So it's, and I made a post about it. There's something exciting about waking up every day, regardless of the financial situation, and knowing that you're fighting your battle for you, regardless if you can only put $5 in the tank, which I've been there many times. It's a different feeling when you're struggling and you're struggling for yourself rather than struggling for another company or someone else's bottom dollar.
Absolutely. Appreciate the congratulations, everyone.
Absolutely. What else you got, Pony?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go off subject a little bit. John, so I'm not sure if I heard this right, but you said you've done a little bit of acting. Is that right, or am I just making that up? Were you actor at any time?
I'm just curious where your source is, so I can.
Well, that came from your mouth.
Really?
Yeah. Remember the Zoom call that we had?
Oh.
Uh-oh.
The Zoom call that we had with
confidence potent. No, I'm just playing.
I don't know if I was supposed to bring that up, but I just thought that would be a good question to get off the politics a little bit.
Thank you, Britt. It's no, I'm not. I've never been. I took acting classes in college. Never been an actor. I've been on a TV show, and I'm actually, well, I don't know if I can say that, but no, I'm not an actor, but I have dabbled in television through construction and building. I did a Tim Allen show, which I can talk about. I did a Assembly Required with Tim Allen for the History Channel. And then I'm currently in the works of my own thing with the History Channel, but that's pretty much all I can say. And I think I'm probably already in trouble. Oops. Regardless.
I hope I didn't get you in trouble.
Regardless.
I guess with TV and what you do for a living, how do you manage with Chip and Joanna Gaines? Because you're in the same town in the shadow. I mean,
Chip and Joanna don't really do construction at all, like nothing whatsoever. So they build their own like businesses, like the Magnolia Silos. I don't know if I should be saying this either. Jeez, y'all gonna get me. I'm gonna get assassinated by the Gaines gang. My God. It's not what you would think it is.
Well, and I didn't mean to go down that road as far as anything with them. Just, I guess since they don't dabble in construction, I guess it's not really living in their shadows then, huh?
No, so our construction company, I mean, they don't really do anything construction here. They don't do consumer construction whatsoever. So the construction is just normal, like any city without a superstar TV couple. As for just doing TV work, my stuff wouldn't be Waco. It would be national, so it would be all across the country. Okay. So it wouldn't be like another Waco show. It would be something that's random somewhere, but I don't know. And
you're not
doing any TV. I'm not doing any TV at all. That was just a dream of mine. Maybe at some point I would think about possibly contacting somebody to do something at some point.
I could see you as an actor.
People say that, but I'm just too. As long as I could act how I actually act, like I do myself. But if I had to pretend to be someone else, I couldn't do it.
Right. So you're telling me, so you're not an actor that way. Are you a paid actor to be? To be a conservative? Are you?
Yes. I am currently paid by the Republican Party to be a token black man for the Conservative Party. I truly think BLM matters, and Bernie should have been elected as president, and Biden is our best hope. Biden, you're my only hope.
That gets us on shadow banned.
Yeah, there we go. Biden 2024.
I've seen that earlier. One of my followers, and he's a black guy, and they were just bashing him, and they're like, "Oh, you're a paid actor," and I'm like, "All right, I'm responding to this. I'm making a video," and
they asked that guy on what's his name, Jones, blanking on his name, on NBC. They said, "Is someone paying you?" I forgot what his name is. The black guy who was a Democrat and then went over to Republican.
From Louisiana, right?
Yeah.
What is his name?
No, isn't he from Louisiana?
I think so. Yeah.
I know who I don't know his name.
It's
though.
like Jones, like David Jones or David Davis, something Davis. I forgot his name. But anyway, they asked him, what's his name? Craig from the NBC, who's whatever. He asked him, like, is someone paying you to do this? And he just went off on him. It was like, how come you think because a black man thinks for himself, you think he's getting paid in some way and can't just have a difference? Like it's insulting at that point, right? You're like, okay, yeah, I'm getting paid. I'm just waiting for my short bus to show up. So I'll be out of your hair in a second.
That is, I mean, that's why I've always said, you know, if you want to see true racism, just get on TikTok and go to a black conservative.
Oh yeah.
Oof.
Male or female.
Or just go to their DM. I mean, the DMs, man. You think the comments are bad? The DM. I had when I first started speaking out, I had a 13-year-old girl.
Is it Vernon Jones?
Vernon Jones. That's who it is. Thanks, Ron. Vernon Jones. I had a 13-year-old girl jump in my DMs, a young black girl, gorgeous little girl, looked very intelligent. She was in high school, like very presentable. Just it was crazy. She came at me with the most vulgar message I've ever seen in my life. Like, you're a piece of, you know what? You can do this and this. I hope you die and your family dies by police brutality. All you're doing is, ragging on the black community, trying to destroy your own. Just like and I'm like, first off, you should not be this in tune with what's going on. Second, where did you learn to speak like that, especially to an adult you don't know? And third, like, where are you getting, like, what is your home life like to think that someone like me who speaks like me is coming for you in some way to where you wish death on them? And it blew my mind. It broke my heart. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is what she and then we went on to talk for a couple days, and she told me, she's like, I'm scared that if I drive, when I get my license, that I'm gonna be killed by a cop. Like I fear for me going to school, walking to school, and I'm like, this is bad. Like these kids are walking around fearing something that doesn't exist. I mean, it exists, but like they think it's something like stepping on a crack on the sidewalk. It just happens all the time, and you die. Like
they think it's normal.
They think it's normal, and I explained to her like,
absolutely,
it's insane. I explained to her for about 3 days, and I'm like, listen, like let's look at this. Like you driving to the courthouse to defend airplanes, you have a higher chance of dying in the drive to the courthouse to ban airplanes because airplanes kill people. It's like you don't realize the drive to the courthouse is more dangerous than actual airplane rides. So we're doing this dangerous dance through the BLM and all this other stuff that can get people killed and did get people killed. This mentality of F the police that does get people killed, that is a lot more dangerous than the actual point something percent of honest law-abiding black citizens that get killed by police. Like it would never, the statistics of it actually happening to a law-abiding citizen of color are so small that you literally speaking out about it is more dangerous than you living life as a black human in America.
That must have been during the Christmas break, huh?
That was like right after George Floyd. That was like after my 5th video on TikTok.
Because I've gotten like when the Christmas break hit for all the kids, man, holy crap. Them kids came out of the woodworks. And it's like, I would have never, ever talked to an adult this way.
I would have never dug this deep into politics, period, at age 14, 15.
And then then if you come back at them, it's like all of a sudden you're demonized. How dare you come at a kid? It's like, well, hang on. If they want to come to a grown person's page.
I had a kid do that to me. They put a face on, they mock you in a whole video, and then you make a reply, and they're like, oh my gosh, you guys, how dare you come at a kid? I'm a child. I'm 14. I'm like, you just made fun of me. You are fair game on TikTok. John, what kind of wine glass is that? It looks nice. Is it did this guy just call out my wine glass? what the?
Yeah, I called out your wine glass.
I would like. So first off, it's the first one. I can't say that name. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's what there was a little clear sticker that was right here that said that. I don't know if it's like Spiegel, but I feel like everything with wine is said more fancy than that.
Have you done this?
No. I'm not even allowed to watch it.
That actually got that. That's he knows. He must know his wine glasses,
right?
Clearly, wow.
I break wine glasses so often. I'm not allowed to wash them anymore. I just can't do it.
You don't wash them? Oh, you break them?
Because every time I wash them, like I'll like shake them off to like dry them off, which apparently you're not supposed to do with a stemmed glass. But I'm used to using plastic, so.
Oh,
I'm
growing up.
Now you've gotten fancy.
Oh, you're a mixologist. What's up, Dad Bod? Okay.
Yeah.
You.
So
right now I'm drinking a nice Cabernet Sauvignon.
And I'm drinking Jack Daniels.
We being fancy up in here. That's how we roll.
Mixed glass old fashioned is his specialty.
Ooh, old fashioned, but like the real old fashioned with the spice, with the herbs, the spices, and the grated orange peel.
That's my drink right there.
That is
my drink.
Man,
I
had a few of them.
I get it everywhere.
Vegas. Where is it? I think it's the Venetian makes the best. Well, I can't say that because there's like a billion bartenders.
Yeah,
but one of them when I was there, oh my god.
I think it was at the MGM Grand though, the bar. And there's a place called Whiskey something in there, and I went in there, and that was the best by far that I've ever had.
They're good,
and that's no Coke in there either, by the way.
Yeah, wipe
on. Hey, John, do you travel at all?
When you have to my bed, to my office. That's all I do.
Have you traveled in the past?
Yeah, so I've been all across. I've been to El Salvador. I've been to Bahamas, Canada, all across the United States. I mean, I've traveled a lot. I wouldn't say I'm like traveled. Like I haven't been to like Europe and Spain and Australia and stuff. But I've traveled a little bit. I did mission work as a younger kid, and went into some impoverished, not like United States impoverished, but like legit third world countries. And man, that I think my being adopted and then traveling and seeing this is what gave me gratitude for every single waking moment of my life. Is understanding that, man, I could lose absolutely everything and still have so much more than a lot of people. Lot of people. So nothing really phases me like at all. Nothing. Because man, the things you see, it's like, man, shut up. Mm-mm.
Hell yeah.
Now, did you grow up in Waco?
California, born and raised. Born in Glendale, which is basically Los Angeles area, and then raised on the central coast of California, and then went to college in Kansas, a private university, and then moved back home, and then said, "Ooh, California sucks. I never realized that," and then moved to Texas. It was literally like that. I went to Kansas, and like that's where I bought my first house for like $32,000. That's when my first real estate investment was middle of nowhere, Kansas. Bought a house, remodeled it, and was like, oh, I could feel like I'm worth something. And then moved back to California, and I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm worth absolutely nothing again. And then decided to move to Texas.
John, come to McAllen. Your favorite doctor is here.
Oh, you're a doctor? I need one of those. I heard people usually have like doctor plans, and I don't have one. So
yeah, me neither, brother.
That's one thing in life that I feel like when I have a medical plan, because I'm self-employed and it's very expensive.
Yes.
When I get one of those, I'm gonna feel like I'm actually an adult.
Yeah.
So what made you Waco?
So basically put a criteria together for real estate investing. You know, I wanted a college town, I wanted cheap real estate, I wanted old houses, and I wanted a market that was going to climb and not just plateau. And it was between like Tennessee, Texas, and where was the other one? I forgot. There was one more, but it didn't last long. I think it might have been Georgia or something, but I couldn't do the humidity. And then I just came to Waco because Waco, I don't even live in Waco. I live outskirts of Waco. Waco is
your favorite dog
on TikTok. Your favorite doctor on TikTok?
So he's not a doctor. Apparently, your favorite doctor is on TikTok.
I feel like the profile picture looks very familiar, Robert. I'm not gonna lie. Wait, oh, Rob Vila. I know exactly. Yeah, what's up, Rob? How you doing, man? Sorry. Anyway, little moment there. I was like, that looks very familiar. No, I got you, man.
I gotta step away 1 second.
No worries. But yeah, I just chose Texas because I mean, there's a lot of real estate around here. There's a lot of housing developments being popped up everywhere. A lot of people are moving from California to Texas, so it's just a market that's going to continue to grow over the next 20 years. So any real estate investment you can make in Texas now, pretty much regardless of where, is going to go up in value just due to the demand. So I was like, you know what, Texas, let's do it. I love Texas. I love guns. I love freedom. I love absolutely everything that Texas stands for. And actually thought about moving out of Texas for a little while. And it's weird because I used to hate Texans for being so proud of freaking Texas. It's like CrossFit. Shut up about it. I don't care. Texas is not that cool. Like Texas, oh, I'm proud Texan. Everything's bigger in Texas. I'm like, shut up. No one cares. About California, we got the beach and the mountains. And then I moved here and I'm like, yo, Texas, everything's bigger in Texas. Like, I love Texas, man. Like I moved here and I'm just like I'm totally in the mentality of like Texas. And I get it now. And I can't explain it. But when you move here, no matter where you go, it's this sense of pride of like, look, I live in the country. I am surrounded by white people, and I know a lot of black people here too. I don't live by them, but I know them. No matter where you go, everyone is down with you, right? You just say the word Texas, let's go. That's what you need. You want to grab a beer? Let's go sit down. Let's do this. Do you need help? As soon as I moved here, people were like, yeah, you know, we got this and this. If you ever need anything, call me. I'm like, I've never met you. Why are you talking to me? And everybody's just with everybody. California, it's like, did you just speak to me? Like, excuse me? What? So, man, I'm Texas all the way. Born and raised California, but Texas, man, I absolutely love it here.
Yeah, I had to go up to Connecticut for a job one time, and the first thing they said to me is, we know how you Texans are, and don't just go talking to strangers here because they will think you're about to rob them. I was like, and they were
like, are they trying to get my social here or something? Like, stop talking. Like,
yeah. And so I tested it, and I talked to some guy at a gas station or something. He looked at me weird.
That's how I was when I first moved here. I'm like, shut up.
Now, how long have you been here?
About 4 years now.
Oh, wow. So fairly recent.
Yeah. So, well, for me, it's not that recent. I mean, I'm 29, so 4 years of my life is a good chunk in the sense of like being on my own. But it's been, man, it's where so just to put things in perspective and to go back to like Democrat versus Republican, California hardcore blue, Texas hardcore red for the most part. California, I used to get pulled over probably once a week. On a bad week, 5-6 times. On a really bad week, once 7 times. 2 in one day, and then 1 in pretty much every other day. And every time I drove, I was worried. I even went back to California for Christmas this year. Every time I drove, I was worried. I'm like, is my light out? Am I looking too thuggish? Am I doing something? Like, you think about it driving in California. I always did. It was just something that I did. By the time I got my license, I got pulled over right off the bat. Texas, I've lived here for 4 years. Not once been pulled over. Not once. Not once have I had a cop look at me weird, drive by, slow down. Like, I mean, California cops will pull up right behind you and they'll just drive slow behind you. They're running your plates. It happens to me all the time. I remember a girlfriend at the time sitting in the car and she's like, a cop's going to pull you over. I'm like, no, he's just running my plates. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, they just run my, like, you've never experienced that? And she's like, no. And I'm like, no, they're just running my plates. They're making sure that I don't have something on my record or something. And it was normal to me because I experienced it all the time. Texas, nothing. I was actually driving back and a cop drove by me one time and I was pulling a trailer and he like looks at me, he's like, slow down, you know, and like just like waves at me and like keeps going. I'm like, what? It's mind blowing because you assume that, oh, well, red state's going to be racist. The police are going to be brutal, right? It's where the whole BLM issue is all these Republicans out here discriminating. But the funny thing is it's the democratically ran cities where I feel the most oppression, if you will, in the sense that the system is out trying to make me a statistic. Texas, man, I've had to call cops to real estate properties that are vacant because they get robbed. The nicest human beings you'll ever meet. They will literally say, hey, if you ever need anything else, call the police, ask for my name. If I'm on duty, I'm here. Or, hey, I'm going to keep circling the property until around 1 this morning just to make sure no one else comes back. I mean, literally, we'll bend over backwards for a young black man in Texas. Whereas California, if I call the cops to my real estate property, they would think I was the person doing something wrong. Yeah. And no offense to police officers. I know they have their reasons. But at some point, you got to see the stigma behind the location that you're living in. The type of demographic that's putting your narrative out there for you. It's weird.
We're being attacked. It's mostly blue states and for sure the cities. I mean,
the metropolitan, yeah. It's crazy.
What were you gonna say, Pony? Sorry.
No, was there a question? I thought there was a question. No questions.
Here's one. Dad bought again. I'm feeling Texas respect.
FOS?
What did you say?
I don't know what FOS means.
I'm not good with lingo.
Not either.
Me neither, bro.
I can barely spell normal words, and when it comes to abbreviations, I'm not good at that.
I'm still trying to get the texting down.
That's for
5 years to figure out what LMAO means.
LMAO.
Yeah.
So if you get your license to carry for your pistols, and you show that to the police, yeah, if you do, freedom of speech.
Well, that's the thing about freedom of speech.
Yeah.
I'm feeling Texas respect, freedom of speech. People is on top. Yeah, 100. Yeah, Cali. So yeah, Texas is a lot different when it comes to just being you. I mean, you got Democrats living right next to Republicans here, which can get weird. But for the most part, I feel like Texan kind of trumps that. Like if you're just like I'm Texan. Obviously, if you go to like Houston or something like that, it might be a little different. Yeah. But if you're in the outskirt, like the real part of Texas, to be honest, I don't think people care. Like I live in the country. I got Biden signs down the road for me, right? There's a Republicans for Biden sign down the road. I'm like, what? But again, like we don't care. Again, people don't realize it. Conservatives, all they want is for people to leave them alone and mind their own business. So if you have a sign in your yard that says Biden, don't care, man. Don't care. Just don't bother my sign in my yard that says Trump, right? At that point in time, we can coexist. But this whole we're going to steal Trump signs, bash them, and do it, all this other stuff. It's like, no, we don't do that out here. Like, if you want to state your opinion, by all means, state it. That's why you moved out in the country, so that you could have freedom. So it's different. It's a different mentality.
I don't know. Anyway, TikToker tonight, she's wanting to move her husband and family. They're military vets, and wanting to come down to Texas. And so I was telling her, all the perks. I was like, if you live outside of the city limits, there's codes, but there's nobody to enforce the codes because they don't send anybody out there. So there really is no codes. If you want to build a barn, you just build a barn. You don't need permits for it. You don't
you just throw it up, man. It's
yeah. And she's like, I said, yeah. And her husband her and her husband are both veterans. And I said, well, are either one of you guys 100% disabled? And she said, well, my husband's working on it with his back. I said, well, once he gets it and you get it and you own a house out here, your property taxes go away. They waive them for you and they're zero. And she's like, are you freaking serious?
On top of the income tax if she's working.
Huh?
That's huge. On top of no income tax if she's working. Yeah. You got to think, because the property tax, when you work in Texas, when the property tax kind of weighs into and gets contributed to your property tax. So like if you're not paying income tax, technically you're making up for it for the property tax that you have to pay here. But if you can eliminate property tax and you're not paying income tax, if you're moving from somewhere like like California or something, man, that's a lot of income that you just saved.
Oh yeah. And so she was mind blown. She's like, for 100% disability, my taxes get waived. And I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, we're absolutely moving to Texas. I mean, and I told her, I said, yeah. And then there's Texas veteran loans that only veterans can get in Texas for land and houses and stuff like that. I said, they're
great.
Yeah. And her husband's a cop. So I said, yep, we're good with the police out here. So
it's amazing. I mean, when I first moved out, because I originally started doing construction in California, and I mean, you'll spend $20,000 before you break ground. Out here, I built like a 4,000 square foot house, out in, I'm not gonna give a city, but like out in the outskirts outside of a metropolitan area. And there's no code, right? I mean, there's code that you build by. But I was like calling the city. I'm like, okay, so like I have this pour that's about to go on. I need to get an inspector out there. We need a soil inspection. We need all this different stuff. And they're like, wait, where is this? I'm like, oh, it's in the, and they're like, we don't go out there. I'm like, but I'm building something. Like, I need to build. And like, yeah, no, we don't. I'm like, so, and they're like, well, just build it. And I was like, just like, it's big. Like, it's big. And you're like, no, just build it. And I'm like, well, does someone? And like, literally the only thing they did, like, well, we come out for like a final project inspection. So like, when everything's done, they'll come out and basically put it onto the tax records, and that's it. And I'm like, that's not right. But
and it's all, and that's all by word of mouth. So if you would have told them it was a 3,000 square foot house,
yeah, or never told them anything, it would have been like, okay, eventually you'll fly over with an airplane and see it, and at some point put it on. But like, and I'm about to build a 4-horse barn on my property, and again, no, like I don't do anything. I just build the thing, right? It's to the point where like the regulations is what people don't realize stifles the growth of someone. Like, I'm a young kid. I'm 29 years old, and I have acreage. I have multiple properties on the acreage. I'm going to build more properties on the acreage. All of them are cash flowing, and that is how I close that racial wealth disparity gap, right? But instead, these advocates for racial equality are advocating for more regulations, thinking that that's somehow going to promote growth. And I'm like, no, that's stifling you from getting the opportunity that you control. Texas, man, I'm telling you, it's one of the few states left where the control is still majority in the people's hands. I'm worried about the people that are all moving here because they're going to ruin it eventually. But man, it's one of a kind. It's one of a kind.
So we have Dad Bod. He's got a couple different comments I'm going to put up here. I've always identified as a Democrat. Marry who you want, smoke your green, civil rights. But I find some of the stuff that they do repulsive. Then he goes on and he says, I don't really know who I am politically. I don't subscribe to labeling. And if you want to talk about a specific topic, we can see pieces of land. But then he says, obviously he says, guessing y'all are conservatives. But you seem very respectful, intelligent, and willing to discuss. And that's true with all three of us.
I appreciate you, Dad Bod. That right there. That right there is what I started this whole thing out with, being like, if you can be approachable, it's crazy that you can be different labels and still see things the same way. And that is so important because I don't need him to think exactly how I think. I just need him to know that I got his back as a human. And I want the best for my country. I want the most opportunity for my people, just like he does. But sometimes you can't get past that label. So, Dad Bod, I appreciate you, man. I'm saying Dad Bod right now.
And he got your wine glass.
And he knows what wine glass I'm looking. When it inspects it closer so you can make sure that I'm telling the truth. This thing is genuine, almost breakable. Literally, if I had another glass to clank it on, it sounds beautiful. It's like a New Year's Eve, man.
I was just holding
like a bell.
I mean, the fact he got that, I'm still amazed by that alone.
Right? I didn't know. I got it for Christmas, right? I did not buy this. I'm not like, I'm gonna go buy this wine glass. I'd like to think I'm that bougie. I didn't know the difference, right? I've been a dollar store wine glass guy forever.
Right.
But wait, hold up. I think it says something on the bottom, but you won't be able to see it. It says something. It says it in like French or something.
Oh yeah.
Holme Garde.
It means expensive.
Yeah. Exactly. If you can't read it, it means expensive.
Expensive. Here you go. Here's one from Robin here real quick. Do you think Californians moving here will turn Texas blue?
Yes.
I tell this to people all the time. Texas will eventually turn blue no matter what. The larger populations you get in condensed areas, the more pull it has with the state, the more it's going to lean blue, period. So once Dallas keeps growing bigger, Houston and Austin keep growing bigger, San Antonio keeps growing bigger, it's inevitable to eventually turn blue, to be honest. That's my perspective on it, because us little country bumpkins out here will never outweigh those massive high density metropolitan areas.
I'm from Houston, and we have our mayor Sylvester Turner. He's against the oil and the gas, energy, all that good stuff, and so now a lot of people are against him now. But it's like, y'all keep voting for this guy.
Yep.
It means it's nothing's going to change if you keep voting for him. If you're voting for him, I don't want to hear no complaining.
It's the list. I think I don't know, man. I think we might be able to save our country due to the level of media bias that's been exposed.
Yeah.
I think that is 100%, because like I said at the beginning, people vote thinking that the guy's telling the truth, and then they find out he's not. Because most people aren't against, especially in Texas, most people aren't against the oil industry, right? You can't. Then why are you here? But I think the more that the mainstream media gets exposed for just being full of shit, people are going to be like, okay, let's not go off of what they promise us because those are lies. Let's go off of what someone has actually implemented and we've seen a track record on. Yep. And I think that's how we're going to turn blue and red into more of a unity. I don't want to say a unity party because I think it's going to end up being more on the right side. But even just in this election and the last week, there's been a lot of people being like, yeah, I didn't like Trump, but my feelings were hurt. Now my bank, my livelihood, and my future hurt. I think I'll go with just my feelings, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, I think too, no matter what party you're in, this is something that I've been saying for a long time, is one of the reasons why a lot of these politicians can continue to get reelected is not necessarily just the media, but they mess up at the beginning of their term. And John, you'll see this in Texas a lot, especially coming up. So you had Greg Abbott totally screw up the whole COVID thing.
Yep.
Watch, he will jump on board with this Texas seceding stuff that won't ever go nowhere. But he's going to jump on board with it and start toting gun rights and all this stuff to get the base rallied up, and then he'll get reelected.
Yep.
He doesn't have
not doing it.
It's how it happens.
And all politicians do it, no matter what party that they're on. They all do it.
So how do you feel about Abbott?
Oh, I can't stand him.
Really?
I want him out.
Really?
That's my mission in life.
Who do you want in?
I don't know yet. I know like Chad Prather's running. He'd be an interesting one that I think. I'd have to see what the field is, but I don't think Abbott is.
I'm not really that in tune with it. Recently, I haven't like since I've lived here, I haven't actually, because I just got the ability to vote this past year. So I haven't really been paying attention to anything local or anything like that. But I need to start to now that we're moving forward with stuff.
I know Beto's going to run, or he's saying he's going to run.
Who?
Beto.
No.
Yeah. Again? Well, no, he ran for Senate against Ted Cruz.
Oh.
And you got to be careful with that one because of their effort to want to move in to Texas and turn it blue right away. I guarantee the money from outside the state. I mean, he raised almost $75 million. It was the most expensive Senate race ever up until Lindsey Graham.
Did that guy ever go away?
No. And the reason why is because he does speak polarizing like Obama did. And he speaks with I call him a youth pastor persona. He's got that youth pastor persona that draws people in.
He does.
But all his money will come from outside the state because they're so hell-bent on Texas.
He does talk with you, not at you, which people resonate with.
Yeah, and John, you probably know what I'm talking about with the youth pastor. I mean, he's got the skinny jeans. I mean, he's your modern day youth pastor. I mean,
this guy's cool, man. He probably plays golf on the weekends and plays Fortnite. Like, super cool, bro. Like, I totally want this guy.
Right?
And you're like, okay, well, you just got the idiot vote, which sadly is a massive number. It's beta, man. I was watching him, and because the thing is, I'm just gonna be 100% with you guys. I look at what car stickers are on, and that's how I originally get a feel. So, like, if I see a bunch of Priuses in Texas driving around with his sticker on the back, I'm like, it's not my guy. It's not my guy.
Absolutely.
When I see some diesel trucks driving around that are pulling cattle trailers, doing all, I'm like, okay, that's my guy, right? The person that's feeding me and putting the meat in my HEBs, that's my guy. So for me, like when I started looking into him and all his gun ideas and all the like, I'm just like, Texas? Is he really think he's got a chance? And the thing is, he did. That's what horrifies me the most is that he did have a chance, and he will have a chance.
Well, if you looked at where all his money came from, he was doing fundraisers in New York City.
See, that to me seems like there needs to be something put in place to lock that down. Yeah, that's not fair.
So I think Dad Bod is probably more of a conservative. It sounds like. I mean, I don't know of many conservatives that are against gay marriage. I mean, I'm sure there's some, but I don't think there is. I mean, we're all for freedom of speech. I think more conservatives are getting on board for weed. He's against abortion, which conservative again.
Are you sure?
I'm like, no, you're conservative. Because the thing is, the whole gay marriage thing, or just gay LGBTQ in general, No one cares. Like, I don't want to be insensitive. Well, I do kind of want to be insensitive. No one cares, right? At some point, you got to realize, look, this is how the world works. I don't want to hear about it anymore. Do what you got to do. Live how you want to live. Prosper how you need to prosper. Don't talk to me about it. Don't put it in my face. Because the same reason why I'm not going to walk in front of you and be like, did you know I like women? I don't need you to put like, do you know I like men? Like, do it. Like, the thing is, like I saw a TikTok video where like I'm walking down a neighborhood with my boyfriend, like no one cares. Like, do what you got to do, man. Like, I'll come out there, I'll give you a high five, I'll invite you to dinner. I don't care. If you are a nice human, makes no difference. The same thing with freedom of speech. Listen, if I don't agree with you, I just want to make sure that you have an articulate opinion that you understand. That's it. That's it.
Without insult.
Without it, yeah. Period. Yeah. Like, that's it. So, like, if you can have a like, hey, I support Biden because of X, Y, and Z, high five. Fine with me. Like, no problem. If you're like, oh, because I hate Trump, then I'm like, well, think about it. But it comes down to the point where it's like, no, like obviously gay marriage is something that the Republicans, I mean, I get historically anti, but I mean, who wasn't historically anti? Let's be real.
Yeah, Joe Biden and Obama were.
Oh, Joe Biden, Obama, Hillary Clinton, everybody was, right? Because it was the trendy thing to do. It was what was going to get you the majority of votes. That's all it is. It's who was popular. Yep. And I'm gonna spin it the same way. The reason that Trump was pro is because it was what was popular. It's all how it works. No one cares anymore, right? No one does. Same thing when it comes to all this other, stuff. The only reason they do the trans ban is because of just tax purposes and legitimate like safety for humans. But no one wants to look at that. It's conservatives I feel like conservative is the new historical Democrat, and Republican is almost a little more still like the traditional Republican. Yeah. But I feel like even more Republicans are considering themselves as conservative. More libertarian or more liberals or Democrats are considering themselves like libertarian more now, I guess, which is just basically a middle ground.
Reagan said that back in the 80s, is that conservatism really is just libertarian.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just you don't want to identify with something that's minorly polarized to a side.
Yeah.
Did you hear that secretary? I forget what he was, but he was the first openly gay cabinet member on Trump.
Yeah.
Did you hear his story of what he said?
I don't know which one. I've heard his original story, but not clearly.
He approached Trump and he said, "Hey, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm the first openly gay, cabinet member." And Trump looked at him and goes, "And?"
Like, and I care why?
Care if you can do the job, but I don't really care what you are as long as you can do the job.
Yeah, being gay has nothing to do if you can do your job or not.
Well, that's what's crazy about Trump is from the beginning, before politics, he was dealing with women, he was dealing with men, he was dealing with whoever. I mean, what was his first tower built was the first female project manager for that, like that level of construction or design, whatever, I forget specifics. But he was like, she was the one that could do the job. Period. Wasn't because she was female, wasn't because she wasn't female or whatever you want to twist it. Like, it was purely adequacy, right? And the same thing with a gay cabinet member, same thing with whatever happens, black, white, or anything. I love it when Trump talks to reporters, female, male, black, or white. You're an idiot if you're an idiot. I'm not going to baby you because you're black. I'm not going to baby you because you're female. I'm going to talk to you the same way I'll talk to anybody. And people are like, oh my gosh, can you believe you say that to a female? I'm like, huh? Equality. Remember that thing? Remember that thing? Like, don't get salty when you treat them like you just treated that man who asked a dumb question. Now the female asked a dumb question and he said the same thing to her. And like, oh. I'm like, okay. Yep. Well, now the double standard is just undeniable. So it bugs me that Trump just literally says things as it is. And that's what I did not like Trump prior, right? I really didn't. I was like, this dude's hard to watch. A lot of dirt came up on him. I'm like, man, this dude just runs through life buying whatever he wants and taking no responsibility. I was not a fan. Then I heard him talk. Then I heard him preach, because he went from talking to preaching. And then I saw him implement. And I was like, whoa, like this dude said this, preached it, and then implemented it. I'm like, that's the first time I've ever seen that. It really is. It's the first time I've ever seen that. And that's when I was like, man, I don't care what you guys think about this man. He's the first person that has unapologetically been unliked by everyone and continued in his path. Because Obama started to kind of go off on his own and got hated on, and like, oh, my bad. Let's do what you guys want. And I was like, no, I'm not with that.
Which is why they hated him even more. I mean, you can tell that right away. From the day he came down the escalator, I didn't vote for him in the primaries here in Texas. I voted for Ted Cruz instead.
Yeah.
Obviously voted for him in the general election. But because I felt the same way. I mean, he was a Democrat for a long time, and then now a Republican, and I was, I was not gonna lie, I was pretty wishy-washy on whether, but then whenever it came to him and Hillary, it was like, okay, there's clearly no.
Yeah.
It's a pretty easy decision from here.
And I'm telling you, I think this conversation we're having here, what we do on TikTok, what we do on other platforms, I think that really is like Dad Bod. I'm sorry, man. Your name just makes me anyway. I think it really is bringing anybody on the fence, right? There's been a lot of fence sitters throughout the years voting. I don't vote. I don't want to vote. No one's got my best interest in mind. The conservative rhetoric, the conservative narrative that we've been pushing, which is, look, man, we all want to be left alone to thrive independently. We don't want the government to control every aspect. More and more people are being like, okay, yeah, I'm down with that, right? Let me be gay. Let me be black. Let me be white. Let me be, let me build. Let me live in high rises. Let me, drive a car. Let me ride a bike. Like whatever you want to do. It's like at this point in time, you've got to put the power in the people's hands. And more people, especially watching the power being taken away, we're all starting to get on this little island where we don't agree on everything, but we agree on the fact that we are sick and tired of BS being pushed down our throats.
Yeah.
And if anyone will talk any type of common sense, we're like, yes, like I can get behind that. But we gotta have that common sense being talked, and I think these next 4 years are going to make common sense look real good.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's already started to in week 2.
That's horrifying. With that being said, I don't even know if we got 4 years left, man. Uh-oh.
All right. Well, we're a little over an hour, which is fine. But
I got one question for John.
All right.
It'll probably be for both of us. So totally off grid. But March, we're doing a meet and greet in Longview, Texas.
Yeah.
And we're going to invite you. I'm not going to put you on the spot right now, but if you want to take the invite, I will send you all the info on that.
Oh, dude, I'm down. I've never done a meet and greet. I've never done a meetup. I'm not a social media guy, as much as it may not seem that way. I'm a wake up every morning, early in the morning, and have no time in my day. But I'm starting to realize the importance of going to those things and meeting people. Like I tell people like this: there's no better friend than that random dude you don't know and have never met on TikTok, right? I got better friends on TikTok than I have people that I literally grew up with, right? Yeah. So I'm starting to really dive into it, man, and I'm 100% down. That'll be my first one. I'm ready.
Absolutely. Well, we will shoot you a message. It is March 20th, right? The weekend of March 20th.
Yep,
I'm down.
So,
and we'll remind you later too.
Yeah, I think
I'm bad. As I told White Pony, I'm like, dude, I do not respond. If I don't respond, blow me up. I just recently got an assistant, not because of social media, but because of business. So like I'm starting to finally respond to people. But I'm putting a little note. Just
if I send you 10 messages, I'm like, man, that makes me feel desperate. Like, come on, John, answer the phone.
It's not a desperate thing. I take it upon myself to feel like it's just a deadbeat thing. It's like I just don't respond. So like it's bad. It's really bad. It's like it's bad, man. I don't even want to talk about it. Like it's like I'll read it and in my head I'll respond. I'll be like, all right, bet, yeah, let's do this, and this, and then I'll close it. And then like text messages will come on top of it. Not because I'm popular. I'm talking like 2-3 text messages will come on top of it. And then I'll just forget. And it just gets pushed down by day by day. So.
Well,
all right. Well, we'll go ahead and give it a podcast. Yeah, we do appreciate your time, John. And thanks for being on here with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Pony, any words to say goodbye?
Thank you again for coming. I've looked up to you for a while, and I'm glad that we're friends and hope to meet you in March.
Yeah, and, man, I'm excited.
First round's on me, brother.
Second round's on me.
Let's go. Well, now, give me that date, man. Let's go. Let's do this. I'm in.
Let's get it, baby.
All right. Well, y'all have a good one, and we'll see you next week. Who do we have next week?
We have Conservative Ant.
Ant is next week.
Yes,
so
sir.
Look forward to that one because that one should be fun.
We're going to be doing it starting Thursday. Starting next week, we're going to do Thursdays at 8 p.m.
8 p.m. Thursday, Conservative Inn.
Yep.
All right. With that, we're out.
Let's